Gabriella says, when someone commits suicide, do they go to hell or to heaven? You know, traditionally, the church has taken a stand that anybody who commits suicide goes to hell. And the reason I believe that they teach that is because they believe that's a sin, which I agree that it's a sin. You shouldn't take your own life. That's wrong. It's a sin. But they believe that every sin has to be repented of and confessed, and you have to receive forgiveness for that individual sin. And since you kill yourself, you can't ask forgiveness for something because you're no longer alive. So they assume that that is an unpardoned sin, and you can't go to heaven with an unpardoned sin. I've got an entire teaching on this entitled Eternal Redemption. It's in my Spirit, Soul, and Body, and in my Redemption album, and in just a bunch of different things. But the book of Hebrews shows that you've been forgiven of all sin, past, present, and even future sin. And this concept that every time you sin, you have to get that sin under the blood, and if you don't, somehow or another it's not covered, and it would make you lose your salvation, that's wrong. And I believe that that's what's led to making people think like if they commit suicide that they can't go to heaven because they didn't have time to get it forgiven. They were dead. They couldn't ask forgiveness. I personally believe suicide is a sin, just like any other sin, but I don't believe it would keep a person from going to heaven. Again, this is a little bit of an opinion, but I'm saying that because I believe that all of our sins, past, present, and even future sins, have been dealt with. People who believe they can't go to heaven, it's because they didn't get it confessed, and I disagree with that logic. So the byproduct of that is that I believe a person could go to heaven if they commit suicide. Let me just say this so that nobody will go out and go commit suicide based on what I've said. I think that suicide is probably one of the most selfish things that you can possibly do. You are only thinking about yourself, and for whatever pain or whatever sorrow, whatever's driven you to this place that you think going on to be with the Lord would be better. First of all, let me say, a person who isn't born again, I can guarantee you if they commit suicide, they're going to hell. There is no limbo, no second chance, no purgatory or anything like that. But if you were a Christian before you committed suicide, I don't think that's an unpardonable sin. I believe you could still go to heaven. But it is a super selfish sin. I mean, incredibly selfish. You are just thinking about ending your suffering and going on to be with the Lord, where we have promise of all of these things, that there'll be no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain. But you are forgetting everybody else. And I can guarantee you, whoever you are, there's somebody who loves you. There's somebody who, if you committed suicide, it would damage them, it would hurt them. If nothing else, what about all of the people that you've witnessed to and that you've told them about the goodness of God, and you've tried to tell them about how the Lord will minister to them and the Lord will be their strength, and then they see you just taking this cheap way out? I think it's a terrible witness. It is incredibly selfish. Incredibly selfish. You're going to devastate people for the rest of their lives with no chance of reconciliation. They'll never be able to talk to you and find out why exactly everything happened. They'll never be able to reconcile with you. It's just incredibly, incredibly selfish. But no, I think if a person is a Christian, and that's debatable, there's a lot of people who commit suicide who say they're a Christian, but that doesn't mean they are. But if they were a true, born-again Christian and they commit suicide, that is not an unpardonable sin. I don't think it sends you to hell.